Well, let me welcome in a special guest, Mohit Mirchadani, head equity at Taurus Mutual Fund, is with us. Mohit, welcome to the show. Afternoon. Prashant here. Where do you think the market is headed? That's the most obvious question and perhaps the most difficult one to answer at this point in time. Does one get a realistic sense of levels on both the basic indices from here, or is it really too difficult to say? Just to take a basic call on the direction, up or down?
I think the market is never going to be predictable in terms of catching the exact bottom. We've got to play on a risk-reward game. So, for example, we believe historically markets bottom out about 8 to 9 times one-year forward earnings. That comes to around 7-ish odd thousand on the Sensex. So as you get closer to that level, your risk reward becomes a lot more favorable. So that's the kind of call you make, which is at what stage is your downside a lot less than the upside, and you go ahead and deploy money based on those kind of parameters.
Good afternoon, Namrata also joining in. So with that, that viewpoint, would you deploy more of your cash from your mutual fund as well at about 7,000 level on the Sensex? Are you waiting for that to happen when you pretty much exhaust your cash?
As we get closer to 7,000, we will keep deploying. At 7,000, my guess is we'll be fully deployed.
All right. Any indications of your shopping list, which you already must have got planned, in terms of also stocks and sectors which you believe could correct more than the market and therefore even see an interim move up which could be more than the market?
I'd like to play that in two ways. When we are putting our portfolio together, we are playing certain themes. Now, within those themes, we're looking at infrastructure and power. We're also looking at some of the rural and the agri themes. We're looking at some of those companies that benefit from hopefully cheaper funding, lower commodity prices. So those are the themes we play on. That in turn translates into select sectors and in many cases bottom-up stock picking. On the other hand, we maintain a low portfolio beta now in anticipation of the down move. But as we get towards the lower end, we begin to inject beta in the portfolios so that when the bounce back comes, we bounce back further. So typically it's a two-pronged strategy. One is you invest in your themes, and for those themes you really don't try and time it because those are 2-year or greater kind of calls. But from a beta standpoint, you try to inject beta on the lower end of the expected range.
Mohit, just to refer back to the question that my colleague asked about, what are your best bets and what would you likely perhaps invest a lot of the cash back into if the market were to come down to about 7,000 odd levels? Or will you just play by how the market behaves, how individual stock prices behave, or you just go by the index? The Sensex comes to 7,000 irrespective of wherever the stock prices are, because at the end of the day, you'll buy stocks, not the index. You'll buy irrespective.
It's a mix of both. We are going to obviously observe the price action as we get closer to that range, and that's when we'll take a call on a few names. Having said that, we already have a shopping list in place. We are bullish on infrastructure longer term. So as we get closer to 7,000, we are going to buy some of the high beta infrastructure names. So that fits in our fundamental view. At the same time, we are buying some of the higher beta names within those sectors. We might take a bet on commodities, just because I think commodities have been beaten down enough. At some point, value is going to emerge. And at some point, demand will emerge as well. You're already seeing a lot of production cutbacks. You're beginning to see capex in expansion of manufacturing and drilling activities or mining activities. That's all coming off. At some point, that demand-supply equilibrium will catch up. And so commodities suddenly becomes a good play from a one-year standpoint. Automobiles is something which has everything going in its favor. What was headwind just 6 months ago in terms of commodity prices, interest rates, has now turned tailwind. So I think that as a theme has got some legs and might run a little longer.
Mohit, on auto specifically, considering the auto sales numbers that we got yesterday, which were much more positive than expected, you're saying that things are looking better because, critics would say that the GDP growth is closely linked to auto sales growth, especially for passenger vehicles. You've got, the services sector growth, and for commercial vehicles, you've got the IIP or the manufacturing growth, both of which on the macro data are showing very, very negative turns. You feel there could be a contrarian approach? This time the cycle will not be so closely correlated?
It's not a function of correlating it. I believe the Q2 numbers of FY10, which will get released in October, might begin to look a lot better. Now the markets are a discounting mechanism which will discount October news flow 4 to 6 months ahead of time. And so we actually look at an opportunity to buy, once the election uncertainty is out of the way, or even if the markets reach our levels before the elections are done, we might still go ahead and deploy cash. So from an automobile standpoint, we're looking at what the news flow is going to look like, let's say October onwards. And to that extent, we see a recovery, a more sustainable recovery in auto numbers. What happened for this previous month, in my opinion, might just be a one-off. It might not be sustainable. But when I look October onwards, I think we'll have sustainable, broader GDP numbers beginning to, they will stop surprising us on the negative. You might begin to see positive surprises. So that applies to automobiles, that applies to a host of other sectors as well.
Banking particularly, Mohit?
Like I mentioned, those companies that have decent order books, they are renegotiating their raw material
Mohit,
prices downwards.
My question was about banking specifically. How would you play that space?
Banking, NPA is a concern. We are, the election year is actually taking its toll on banking because that is the favorite mechanism for the government to affect mainstream positively, and sometimes it's at the cost of the financials of the banks, and I think that's what's playing out right now. Forced lending is raising a concern of NPAs. Having said that, everything is good at a certain price. Banks historically have bottomed out at about 0.5 to 0.7 times book on the PSU side, and so when we see those kind of levels, we'll go ahead and buy because the risk reward turns favorable. You might get another 5, 10, 20% downside, but when the bounce back comes, it will be good. And banking will usually lead the pack on the way up. So we are looking at banking very closely. For the moment, it has broken down, it is selling off, but we don't think that's going to sustain. And at some point, we are willing to look at it and enter.
All right, Mohit, good speaking with you. Interesting thoughts and some very good points you made there. Appreciate your time. Hope to see a lot more of you here on NDTV. Take a quick break. Our first on the 2:30 Factor. Be right back.
We come back with lots of profit exclusives, more on Satyam and what's happening on that count. L&T Capital is also on a fast acquiring spree, and Emaar MGL.